There is plenty of innovation coming through with robot vacuum cleaners, especially ones with base stations like this, and the DreameBot L10S Ultra is a perfect example of just that. So this particular robot vacuum cleaner that can sweep and mop does have AI support with obstacle avoidance, front-facing camera, LiDAR 3D mapping, which is accurate and fast, up to 5,300 PA suction, and then 2 mops. They're orbital mops on the back of it that apply quite a bit of pressure on the floor, and they also can lift up when they detect things like carpet and when they go back to clean their mops inside the station right here. So those mops, they are rotating around at 180 revolutions per minute, basically scrubbing the floor. When they get a little bit dirty, it comes back here into the station where it will clean it. So why it is so tall, 57 centimeters, is because it has an auto empty dustbin, 3-liter capacity, which is good for up to about 60 days, and then 2 tanks in the top of it right here. One is 2.5 liters of clean water, the other is 2.4 liters of dirty wastewater that you'll need to later on empty out. So I'll be covering the application, its performance, the pros and cons, and I'll let you know exactly what I think here of the DreameBot L10S Ultra. So included in the box, you'll find a multi-surface floor cleaning solution, side brush, power cable, brush here for cleaning out the area where it cleans the mops, and then the dirty water bottle, microfiber mopping cloths and the mop part to it, a bag which is 3 liters, so we get one already installed and the spare, and then a user manual. Now this DreameBot is quite a tall setup. It's almost 57 centimeters. So we have the area where it cleans the mops, rinses them, dries them, which takes about 2 hours. Then the auto empty bin, which is a capacity of 3 liters. And then at the top here, we have our water tanks. In the inside of the lid, they have cleverly placed a quick start guide there, which is very handy to get you up and running. Now you can clearly see which one is the dirty water tank here, so very easy to remove that, tip out the contents when it rinses the mop, flushes everything out. Now the capacity of this one is 2.4 liters, the dirty water, and then the clean water, this tank here on the right, that one is 2.5. You get slightly more. On the top of the L10S Ultra, we have a status LED, so it's charging here at the moment, and there are some controls at the top. Just inside here is where the mops will be scrubbing up against this surface to remove all the dirt from them. It then does rinse them out, and there are nozzles at the back here which will auto-fill the tanks that are within the mop itself. Now you can set it up with the app so it'll go back into the dock, it'll refill, it'll clean the mops, and you can set when you want it to actually do that. Now it will dry those mops there. It takes around about 2 hours. Now we've got 3D light structuring with this, an RGB camera here at the front. Now it does use AI to detect common household objects like shoes, socks, cables and things go around them. There is even a pet mode, so it will go around any pet business. If you've got a little dog, imagine a little poodle, does its business on the floor, it should be able to go around it and not end up smearing it everywhere, which other robot vacuums would do because they simply don't have this function, this feature, the AI detection to avoid it. On the right hand side there is a proximity sensor here, so it will detect just how far away it is from the walls to get in, nice and close there with the side sweeper brush. So the side sweeper brush is just on the right side. It does have the bump sensor as well, and of course speaker built into it. Now there is Siri, Google Assistant and Alexa support with the L10S Ultra. Looking at the back of it here, you'll notice that this normally is on the front of most robot vacuums, but not here with the L10S Ultra. This area is our infrared sensor, the charging connectors, and where it does fill up there, the water reserve inside it, and then the detergent as well, the washing solution. It's a special one there for cleaning the floors. This is where the filtered air is then blown out the back here, a little port on the side, that's where it sucks out the contents of the dustbin within. And like any good robot vacuum, it is using LiDAR laser navigation for its mapping, which is very accurate and it is quick. Lifting up the cover of the DreameBot here, you'll find then the dustbin. Now to empty the dustbin, if you're not going to be using the AutoVac station, you want to empty it and clean it out yourself for maintenance later too. Very easy to do. It just simply comes out like so. And this dustbin does have a capacity of 350 milliliters. The water tank volume within the L10S Ultra is 80 milliliters. That's just enough to keep those mops wet. And if you need to replace or wash out the filter, it's very easy to remove it, just like so. And there is a layer in here, a little mesh, so it's a two-stage filter, which does make cleaning it a lot easier. This robot vacuum has suspended rubber wheels, and the brush in the middle does move up and down a little to adjust to different floor heights. Now they can climb these wheels up to 2 centimeters. So you have any ridges or any lips or anything around different level heights with your floor, it's able to go up that. 360-degree wheel at the front. We have the downwards sensors there to detect any drops, for example, like stairs, the side brush, of course, and then our 2 mops. Carpet sensor at the front, so it knows when there's carpet around to lift up the mops to not drag them over carpet. Now once it's finished cleaning, it will also lift up the mops and not drag them over an already clean floor. And when you take them off, they're just held in place with a magnet there, or put them in. You will hear the vacuum confirm that. So it knows that when the mops aren't on, it won't be in a mopping mode, of course. So this is a microfiber material they're using for the mops, and they're held in place with Velcro, very easy to remove and clean. And this is a rubber style that we've seen. Now I've seen a few other brands now using this instead of having a brush with the rubber sweepers, then the bristles. This is all now rubber sweepers, which is supposed to be better for hair. There's a lot of hair will end up getting tangled in those brushes, making it difficult to clean. It's not supposed to happen, or should not happen as much, with this style of main brush. Here is our application. So I'm going through the Mi Home app here. I've added it, so you do need to pair it up with your Wi-Fi network. You need 2.4G Wi-Fi. That needs to be enabled, so it won't work on Wi-Fi 5 or 6. It needs to be the older spec, which normally has the better range too with it. So you can see we've got zone cleans. You can clean the whole house, or you can go for rooms. Now it's automatically mapped out and labeled all of the rooms there. You've got a setting to view this map in 3D. If you do like that, you've got that option. I do actually prefer just the 2D one. I think it's a little clearer, and it's mapped out all the areas and the gaps and things where furniture are and whatnot. So it's done a very good job, and there's a fast mapping mode that will only take about 5 minutes, which is good. So we have cleaning options here, so you can set it to sweep, mop, and sweep them up at the same time. You can set your suction level right up to 5,300 PA is the maximum suction level there too. Cleaning times, this is handy if you're going to do a spot clean perhaps, so you can just get it to go over the same area 3 times or 2 times if it's quite dirty. Customized cleaning sequence is all there too. Information at the top, we have battery life, the area that it's cleaned, the runtime. Now speaking of runtimes, it's up to 2 hours and 10 minutes if it is just in the quiet mode. Now if you're going to be vacuuming and mopping at the same time, it's 160 minutes. You can send it back to dock here, and we do have map management. So I've just mapped out my downstairs area, but you can map out multi-floors. It will save them in here, which is good. And those maps, you're able to edit them too as well. So you can put in no-go zones in the maps, different areas, virtual walls. You're able to do all of that, and even a no mop zone. But it does have the sensor that if it goes over a mat or a carpet, it'll lift the mops up. It won't start scrubbing and mopping them, which of course is something you don't want it to do. So you have more options in here for the self-cleaning mode. Just bring that up. So you can send it back to clean the mop pad. You can disable that if you want. Clean by area, zone, dry mop pad. The drying time, you can increase it. If you find that it's still a little damp after 2 hours, maybe it's somewhere in a colder environment, set it to 3 or 4 if you want to. The auto empty function, you can have that on, so when it goes back, it is going to be emptying it out. Or you can disable it. And then the frequency there. So there's a lot of options in this. And even more under the general settings. So I won't go through all of these because it's going to take a long time, but we've got device settings, carpet cleaning settings, so it can increase the suction performance when it detects that carpet, AI recognition. So if you do have animals, you can put it onto the pet mode. Maybe you've got a little dog that lives inside and it accidentally sometimes leaves a few messes on the ground, then you definitely want to keep that on so it's not going to be smearing it around. The AI should detect it. And I'll be doing a bit of a test later on of that AI detecting common household objects. Cleaning history, Schedule cleanup, accessory usage, so let you know when you need to replace those side brushes or give them a clean the sensors. All pretty standard there, and there's a lot of different options, as you can see. Firmware updates too when they push them out. Now this robot vacuum does also have integration and support for Google Assistant, Siri, and Alexa. So if you use one of those, you can also issue commands to the L10S Ultra. So let's get on to the important part, cleaning performance. So first I'll talk about how it is in just the vacuum mode. So it will map out rooms very quickly in about 5 minutes. In fact, it can do the whole bottom floor, at least my small house here, in the fast mapping mode. And then when it does its normal clean, it will go around the outer edges of everywhere first, going around obstacles like furniture, under beds isn't a problem. Then it starts to zigzag back and forth. And with my general kind of waste around the house, general dirt that I would get from pets and my 2 kids, it's been doing a fine job of keeping things clean. Now I did a test where I set down a lot of dust, some hair, cat hair, and just some cornflakes and things that were crushed up to see how it would handle it. Now, because it has the rubber roller on it, it was good at sweeping up all those bits of cornflakes and dirt. Wasn't really a problem for it. And with the 5300 PA, it didn't really have problems lifting that out. However, I noticed that after just a single run of my test here, there were a few pieces of hair, or strands of hair that were just almost stuck to the mat of the carpet. So I've noticed that without any bristles on this brush. So normally you have the rubber sweepers and then some bristles there to help pick up hair, which often gets tangled in the brush. It's not going to really happen as much with this. It didn't really lift up the hair as well as I had hoped. So it's one of the weaknesses of the L10S Ultra. Now then, of course, getting onto the mopping performance, well, it did a good job with those 2 orbital brushes in the rear, those microfiber mops that are spinning around at 180 RPM. So they were basically going along, scrubbing the floor. Very good for, again, general household, just muck and dirt, or whatever would be picked up on the tile floors around the house. My test again was something a little bit more difficult that it wouldn't commonly see. I spilled a bit of coffee, smeared in a bit of dirt, and I let it dry for about 4 hours on the floor. So it went over it in the first pass, and this is where it really did surprise me. I didn't expect it to get everything. So you can see now it's doing an excellent job. It pretty much just went over it and picked up everything thanks to the design of those mops. And it doesn't leave any streaks either. And then when it went over a second time, which I set with the spot clean mode with the app, it went the other way, which is good, and it pretty much got everything. So that was great. And then a runtime of the L10S Ultra, well, it does have a 5200 milliamp hour battery built into it. So it's up to 210 minutes just in the quiet mode, only sweeping. Now, if you're mopping and sweeping, it does reduce the battery runtime, of course, because it's got another 2 additional motors that it does need to power for those mops. Brings it then to 160 minutes on the quiet mode and mopping your floors. And then looking at the state of the mops, the results do speak for themselves. That before it goes back to do its auto clean thing, the mops looked pretty dirty and disgusting. The microfiber was full of a lot of muck, so it's picking it up as it should. And just taking a peek inside the dustbin as well, I did see that there was quite a lot of dust and additional bits and pieces that it picked up. Even though I'd already done a vacuum only just this morning, it got quite a bit more out of just the area that I've been vacuuming, which is great. So the base station here, when it goes back into it to suck out the contents of the internal dustbin, which is 380 milliliters, it is loud. Even though my household now is used to these auto-emptying vacs that I sometimes review now and then, it will give you a bit of a fright if you're not expecting it. So here's a sample that, by the way, for headphone users, I've turned it down a little bit, but you can hear it's quite loud when this thing engages in the auto-empty mode.
Start auto-empty.
So you might want to warn people if they're in the house and they're not expecting that to suddenly roar into action that, hey, it could come on, just be aware of it. The other is when it goes and then cleans those mops, you do hear it rinsing it, you hear it spinning the mops, and you hear it sucking out all the dirty wastewater, which sounds a little bit like a gurgling noise of a coffee machine. But here is a sample again of what it's like now when it is cleaning those mops. Just a short sample to give you an idea.
Start cleaning mop pads.
Then the AI obstacle avoidance. Well, it worked going around some shoes and some socks, but where it did fail for me in my tests was USB cables. It ended up eating one, and I had to stop the vacuum and then remove it. So what is the final verdict then? Overall, I think this is a really good vacuum if you've got a lot of tiles around hard floors that you need to mop. Mopping performance is the strength, and I do love the fact that it cleans the mops, but not only cleaning it, it will dry them out to stop them forming mold or mildew or smelling in there, and you can even increase through the application the time to dry those mops if you find it's not enough. That's very handy. You do have the additional maintenance of having to remove the dirty tank, fill up the clean tank, and then eventually every about 60 days or so, depending on your household, how large it is, and if you've got pets and things, to of course remove that bag, which is very easy to do. It's just simply remove this panel, and then here, as you pull it out, it ends up sealing itself off, so no dust is going to come out, and then you can simply just throw that away into the rubbish bin, which is good. So the vacuuming performance, as I pointed out, when it does come to things like here, this is where it's not really a strength of the style of rubber brush that it does have. The spongy brush without the bristles in it, it is a little harder for it to pick up those finer hairs. So you may see a few long hairs, human hairs on the ground there that it just simply could not get on carpets and mats. It's the only area, but it won't do it on hard floors. It seemed to suck those up without a problem. The other is, which is pretty much standard for this style of robot vacuum with a base station, that is, that it is loud, the base station, when it auto empties using this bin here. It can give people a fright. It has here in our household suddenly come on. My wife wasn't expecting it and pretty much said, wow, what was that? It gave me such a fright. So that's another minor little con there. But all up, for hard floors, definitely very good at cleaning that. So thank you so much for watching my review here of the DreameBot L10S Ultra.